Good day, everyone. My name is Tolulope Okeleye, a student of the University of Lagos and an undergraduate intern at Alem Telecoms Academy. Today, I'll be speaking on the topic regulations of mergers and acquisitions under the Competition Practice Regulations 2007. The purpose of this is to educate people about the regulations of mergers and acquisitions under the Competition Practices Regulations 2007 and also how the NCC determines the factors which reduces the market competition. What is a merger? The merger is the legal amalgamation of two or more companies to form one legal entity. What do I mean by this? This is the combination of two or more companies to form one new company. Now we have two types of mergers. We have the horizontal mergers and we have the vertical mergers. Horizontal mergers occurs when two or more companies in the same industry with similar products or services merge, while the vertical merger occurs when the firm acquires another firm which operates under a different stage of the supply chain. What do I mean by this? I like bread, so I'll be using bakery as an illustration. For an horizontal merger, when you have bakery A and bakery B, when they match together, that is an horizontal merger. And in the vertical merger, a farmer who grows and plants wheat, he sells to a company who buys the wheat and produces bread. When they match together, that is a vertical merger. Now, what are the examples of horizontal and vertical mergers? For horizontal mergers, in 2017, Nine Mobile, formerly called Etisalat, was acquired by the Mubadala Investments in 2017. That's an example of an horizontal merger. For a vertical merger, MTN in 2006 acquired Vodafone Code Division Multiple Access, the CDMA, to expand its telecom services. Now I move to acquisition. What is acquisition? Acquisition occurs when one company takes over from another company and now establishes itself as the new owner of that company. Following my illustration of the bakery, now we have a small firm A and a large firm B. Now the large firm B seeks to expand its horizon and then it acquires the small firm A. Now this process is called the process of acquisition. Now when we're talking about the types of acquisition, we have two types. We have the full acquisition and then we have the partial acquisition. Full acquisition, as it implies, means the 100% takeover, and while the partial acquisition is just a portion of acquiring the property or 50% acquisition of the company. Now, an example of acquisition is Facebook acquiring Instagram. I think we're all familiar with that. So, with them, why do we control mergers and acquisition? Now, there's a need to control mergers and acquisition because during mergers and acquisition, it can lead to the creation of a dominant party, and then this can lead to monopoly. So, the control regimes ensure that this does not reduce the market competition. Now, in Nigeria, there are advantages and disadvantages of mergers and acquisition. I mentioned the disadvantages earlier. The advantages is that it leads to growth of the economic skills in these companies, and this outweighs the disadvantages. And then, expressly, we can't prohibit mergers and acquisition, but what we can do is to regulate it. In Nigeria, we have some regulations for mergers which control the effects of mergers and acquisitions, and then we have the Nigerian Investments and Security Act, ISA 2007. We also have the Company and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020. We have the Competition Practices Regulations 2007. Now, what are the factors in which these control regimes consider before they can say, oh, this is affecting the market competition? They consider the dynamic characteristics of the market. They consider the increased likelihood of profits. They also consider the extent to which this can cause a barrier between these companies. Now, I'll be talking about the regulations of mergers and acquisitions under the Competition Practices Regulations 2007. Please note, the Competition Practices Regulations 2007 will be referred to as the CPR, and then the Nigerian Communications Commission will be referred to as the NCC. So I proceed. Now, the CPR establishes the powers of the NCC to review mergers and acquisition, and this can be seen in Regulations 26, which provides that an operator has to notify and obtain an approval of the NCC before they can effect a change which is more than 10% of the transaction of the total shares in the company. Regulations 27 says that there are procedures to reach this review and to reach the review of mergers and acquisition, and then these procedures, the transactions involved are under Regulations 27 A to C. These transactions include transactions involving more than 10% of the total shares, also transactions involving change in the control operator, also transactions involving change in the individual license, which is granted by the Nigerian Communications Act 2003. Regulations 28 says that an operator should also obtain and notify the NCC for approval for the changes which are for the transactions which are mentioned in Regulation 27A to C. Now, and in addition to Regulation 28, within 60 days before the completion of the transaction, there should be a written request to the NCC, and this should include the identities of the parties involved. It should include a detailed description of the transaction. It should include the financial information of the parties involved. It should also include the detailed control which these parties are going to have over network facilities. Now, when we're talking about this, we move to Regulation 29, which says the NCC may also request for additional information if they need. Regulation 30 says that within 30 days of the submission of the completed application, the NCC can decide to approve without condition. They can decide to approve with condition in cases where the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. They can also decide to deny the transaction, or they can issue out a public inquiry where where people make their suggestions and then they make their decisions based on these inquiries. Also, Regulation 32 says before the NCC can approve or deny, they have to determine, there are some factors they have to take into consideration before they do this. Now, what are these factors? We have the impact on the competitors, we have the impact on the existing consumers, we also have the impact of the relevance of the market, which means whatever decision they are going to make must not affect the existing consumers and also the competitors. And then Regulation 18 also makes some additional factors to this. What Regulation 18 provides for the overall market size. They consider the overall market size, they consider the market share of the operator, and they also consider the market entry of everybody involved in the business. Now, in conclusion, there are advantages and disadvantages to mergers and acquisition. But then to enjoy the benefits and the advantages, we have to make adequate regulations in which people have to follow to ensure that everybody eats and it benefits everybody. Today, I'll come to the end of my lecture today. To know more about this, you can follow our website at www.alliancesolicitor.com, or you can follow our social media pages, especially our LinkedIn at Alliance Telecoms Academy. My name is Tolulope Okeleye. Thank you.